So when we experience something traumatic, there's different ways that we can respond. We can fight potentially, we can run away, or leave the body, or often what occurs is we actually energetically get stuck in it as though it's happening now.
Sometimes we have friends and people who is around us, and they start to give us different interesting stories, examples of the life, how they change this and that. But sometimes we don't have this inspiration to do something different. Today, I'm gonna introduce you one really interesting lady. She's psychotherapist and theta healer. She teach her students and working online virtual with her clients. Her name is Laura Mason, and today she's gonna share with us some of her story and also experience. Very welcome and enjoy with us. Laura, very welcome here in Coaching Crew International. I'm glad to have you in my broadcast. Um, Tell me something little bit about what is the most popular problems or situation where the people starting um, to have a conversation with you.
So thank you very much for having me. So what I have found is the most common thing that clients come to me with is unresolved trauma. And trauma can mean different things for different people. So it could be growing up in a home where there was neglect, it could be emotional abuse, physical abuse, having a parent who has an addiction, generally growing up in an environment that's unsafe and unstable. So that is really the key issue that people come to me with. But often they present with other issues, but the core issue is trauma. So, for example, people might come to me with rocky relationships, not being able to manifest what it is that they'd like to manifest in their life, addiction, low self esteem, um, and various other things they can present with. But the core issue is actually unresolved trauma.
Here is the moment I would love to know more about how you're working with these people. I know you're like a flower. We're just coming in the springtime and just say, "Hey, I'm here. I want to give you something different in this life." I know a few of your story and your behind scenes, how you're working with the people, but I know you will share with us now a little bit more.
Sure. So what I have found is when we have these types of traumatic experiences, often what will actually occur is our mind uses itself as a refuge and it begins to actually fragment. And what occurs is the mind actually begins to develop different aspects of us, and each aspect can have a different job, different perceptions, different belief systems, different ideas, and they can all be in conflict with each other. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this can first occur. So here's an example. Let's say we have someone who grows up in a home where there's a lot of violence.
Hmm.
What can occur is this child's mind could begin to develop different parts. One part could be the part that's actually the caretaker. So when I say parts, what I'm referring to is different personas, different mini personalities within. So we could have one part who takes on the role of taking care of everyone, taking responsibility for everyone. And each aspect of the personality actually plays a very, very important role. They were actually really necessary for the survival of the person. So in this instance, what we might find is this person develops this aspect of themselves And this caring, responsible part may actually take on the role of taking care of their siblings and perhaps one of their parents. There may also be another aspect of the mind that has been developed who can actually be quite aggressive. And this part actually might be mimicking the behavior of the person who perpetrated the abuse onto them. So, what the mind has done is it has learned to mimic, to replicate the behaviors of the person who was abusive. And this behavior, although it's dysfunctional now and it's not helping in the present, at that time, it may have been really, really helpful. And it may have been the thing that actually helped them to survive. So we can actually develop many different aspects of our mind, and they can all be in conflict with each other now in the present. And although they're in conflict now, in the past, they were really helpful. The other thing that can occur is we can get frozen in the old trauma. When we experience something that is traumatic, so for example, if you are dealing with a parent who's being abusive, there are different ways that you can actually respond to it. You can run away potentially, you could potentially fight them, you could possibly leave your body, or you can freeze. Now, what I have noticed when we're actually dealing with childhood trauma, which is a lot of what I actually work with, often what occurs is we get energetically frozen in it. So that means we get frozen in a different time. All the old feelings, all the old emotions, all the belief systems associated with that event get stuck in a different time. And we actually act based on those old energies, those old experiences, and make choices from them as though they are now. So when we're in a situation and there's someone perpetrating abuse on us, if we're very small and we're dealing with a person who is a lot bigger than us, it really eliminates the option of fighting, because you can't fight someone when you're a little person and you're dealing with someone who's a lot bigger. You can't really run away most of the time. So usually our response is to leave the body or to freeze.
Mm.
So what can happen is we can actually get energetically stuck in a different time. And as I mentioned, what we do is we make choices based on that old energy. And that can really be very problematic for us. And it
Yeah.
can affect us in the present in many different ways. So when you have had this type of experience and you have your mind has developed these mechanisms as a way for you to survive. The ways that it can manifest in the present is feeling stuck, feeling very guilty, feeling ashamed, feeling wrong, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you can't make money. Also, what can occur is you sabotage your relationships because you
Yeah.
have all of these ideas about relationships that are actually very distorted based on your old experiences. And our mind actually has a tendency to generalize things. So, if a person has had an experience where they have had a lot of abuse, they're going to have a lot of distorted perceptions that were formulated based on that experience. That our mind has a tendency to generalize things. So what we often do is we generalize people to be the same. So these old energies, these old perceptions, feelings, belief systems, they stay with us, and we project them outwards onto the world.
Yeah.
So, what happens in this case, if you have all of these ideas about relationships, like they're painful, they're abusive, they hurt you, your defense mechanisms kick in and you will push people away before they can get close. The primary objective of your subconscious mind is to actually protect you. So, a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, I'm sabotaging myself. But the truth is, they're not sabotaging themselves. Their defense mechanisms are actually trying to protect them from being hurt. The other thing I want to say is, you know, when we have experienced something like this, we often act from the trauma. So, as I mentioned earlier, often one way of actually surviving and coping and protecting ourselves was to mimic the abuse that was done to us, or the perpetrator's energy, I should say. What can also occur is we can actually reenact that abuse, and it can be very automatic. So, it's something that happens automatically. So, often what occurs in these situations is people will mimic the behaviors that they witnessed around them,
Yeah,
then they feel guilty, ashamed, and awful afterwards. So it can really, really keep you stuck.
yeah, absolutely. It's true. Absolutely. Um, Laura, how long is your experience with the clients, with the people? I'm blessed to have you in my circle and to know you. I'm really thankful to share with all of us your experience. How long you working with people?
Thank you. I have been doing this work for about 12 years.
Wow.
I have been involved in emotional healing and psychotherapy work for about 12 years. So when I'm working with clients or training people with this method, I'm drawing upon 12 years of experience working with thousands of clients, and my own experience as well. Personally, I have a lot of trauma in my own background as well. So the techniques that I am sharing and I teach people and I use are techniques that I've actually used to heal myself and transform my own life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You give me a little bit more information just after a few minutes. I know you have some mini solution for everyone who will catch this interview. Can you share with us a little bit more about the mini solution, what you have?
Yeah, so I'm going to share with you a very special webinar where I'm going to share a number of different techniques and tips that can assist you in moving beyond trauma. And I will also be offering you an energy clearing session in it. So you will be able to experience my work
Yeah.
firsthand.
Wow. Thank you so much. Dear friends, you can put the comment below, just hashtag trauma, and me and Laura, we will contact you and give you more information about the webinar and also how she say, if you have interesting to have experience with her energy clearing, so you can join us. Um, just tapping hashtag trauma and I will be there. What was your wake up call?
My wake up call. Okay, so it was about 12 years ago as well, and I wasn't in a very good emotional state. I was really depressed, really low, very unhappy. I wasn't connected to my body. But to be honest, that was the norm for me.
Hmm.
And a friend of mine who I was sharing a house with when I was in university had said to me, I really think you should read this book, The Secret. And I was thinking, oh, well, I'm not sure if it's my thing. And she kept on saying it to me. So eventually I read it. And then I watched the film and I got really, really into it. So I started to explore different meditation techniques that could assist you in growing and changing. And I started to play with a number of different things. And what I realized was these techniques actually work.
Hmm.
At one point, I started to develop really bad headaches. So I came across a healer by accident and I went to him. And he'd done some healing work on me. And after that session, I felt my own energy for the first time. And what I realized was I had been living my life in other people's energy. I was absorbing everything like a psychic sponge. So
Hmm.
I could really see at that point where where I was taking on other people's energy, because it was like I got energetically cleansed, and then I started to notice where I was actually doing it. So then I had to actually undo a lot of patterns that were actually associated with me doing that, because there are always unconscious underlying reasons um, related to why we do the things that we do them.
Wow.
And she
Yeah.
said, why we do the things we do. So I that really put me on this path. So from that point, as he was working on me, what occurred was a lot of my innate abilities started to open up more and more and more and more. And I started to realize that I was able to do things that I had no idea that I could do, which was really great. And then one day I was in London in the Olympia in the Mind Body Spirit festival, and I came across a healing modality which I then trained in. I really went into it to develop my psychic abilities, but then I ended up practicing it. And what I found was I was really changing a lot, but I could only get to a certain point. And what was really stopping me was the traumas that I had experienced. So I really had to delve deep to shift these. So then that put me on a path where I learned more about trauma. So I enrolled in a counseling psychotherapy degree, and I did a lot of training. I did a lot of work with clients, which helped me to develop the method that I have today.
Amazing. Yeah. How I say in the beginning, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have you here. Um, would you like to make a wish for everyone who will catch this interview? I know will be really helpful because you share a lot of experience from your journey for the last 12 years. So, yeah,
A wish. When you say a wish, in what sense?
from anyways.
So, yeah, what I would really wish for all of you is for you to actually be able to reconnect back to your true self.
Yeah.
So, what I have found working with clients and in my own experience is often we live our life from a space of believing that we are our belief systems, our feelings, our perceptions, our behaviors, and we're actually not. All of those things are things that you have accumulated and learned through your life experience, and they're actually not you. The truth of who you are actually lies underneath that. So I like to compare your true self to the energy of a baby. When
Yeah.
a baby is born, most babies, unless they've gone through something very traumatic and hard, if you look at a baby or even a toddler, you'll see that they're nice and shiny and bright, they're very vibrant. It is their experience and what they take on through their experience that really limits them and holds them back. And what can occur is through their experience, they form these belief systems, they pick up the energy that's projected at them, they pick up feelings and ideas, and they start to believe that this is who I am. And
Hmm.
through our experience, we often learn how to play certain roles, and these roles are really things that were put on us most of the time, or they were born out of a need to survive. And often we can start to think that we are our role, but we're not. And within these roles, we can actually disconnect from our true self. But your true essence is the energy of light. It's that divine energy. It's an energy that runs through everything, that is a part of everything, and that is your true essence. So, my wish for you is for you to actually realign with that truth. For all
Yeah.
of you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Laura,
Thank
and see
you.
you the next 10 days. Very soon, she will continue in the live stream of Coaching Crew International. So just catch up her on Facebook page, website, and also don't forget to put the comment below, #trauma, and we will contact you. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so, so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.